Hello, it's KRBrickBot, and I'm continuing my Tobot V mini review series slowly, one by one, in short format. The third one is obviously Jetththunder. So it's a pretty flat, yellowish orange box, you know, the thick outline style. I think that's an accurate render of the toy. Jetththunder. Yeah, those action lines in a robot vehicle. Yeah, the simple styling on the side here. Yep, that's April, released in June. So, the simplifications we're working with here are just two base plastic colors, the gray, the yellowish gray, and the not pure white, slightly creamy off-white, bluish white. The rest of it is painted orange or black or red. And only the red thruster feet and none of the inner limb joints because, you know, they're simple joints. It does have the orange airplane trimmings. Except in the places where it's tertiary, like the tips of the side here and only the sides of the engines. Yeah, I guess the arms are pretty similar there, and really not much gray or dark gray going in there, just black right off of the pelvis. The pretty drab mini Jetththunder does look the part of a simplified drab Jetththunder. For the articulation, the head, which might look a little squashed compared to the bigger one. And the pink glob, the right side of the head, can go down for transformation. The soft ratchet 2 clicks that are not at perfect right angle, so that's gonna be slightly peeving. Yeah, I think they're like hex ratchet shoulders. Yeah, the outward is just the lower arm for transformation. None of this fancy upper shoulder ratchet thing. Nor elbows, for that matter. No elbows. Also, neither any accessories for swords. There are no sword accessories at all. Even though there looks like there's a perfect indent for a perfectly round handle. Yeah, I'm not asking for like a two-piece sword. Just even a tiny one-piece sword that clips somewhere else under, like, under the wing, that would have done. But without his iconic weapons, this is lacking something. Ball socket legs work pretty fine. Like, you get that arm out of the way, you're gonna go all the way back and all the way forward, and full splits and obtuse knees, and you can't ignore those super hollow, super wobbly legs any longer. That is a lot of wobbles. Even more hollow than YOG. You know, because it's two parts, and then, you know, also the waffled wings, which are, to be fair, on the bigger one, but just about the same waffling. No, there's a little more waffling here than here, but also especially on the underside of these wings, when these were more intentionally picked out. And hollow arms and hollow half thruster feet. More like 2/3, but still, that's half, and that's noticeable, and that's noticeably incomplete. They are literally stretching their literal $10 budget thin. Transformation is significantly simplified. Yeah, I guess you could fold out the wings and then fold the arms out. Head down, Gerwalk mode. And then just simply put those legs together and then simply flip out these wings and then simply put it together and then hook it over. There, that's the plane mode. I've already ranted about what kind of plane this is kind of emulating. Yeah, so the upper body was pretty much the same, but the lower one was significantly simplified. Yeah, like that. When you see that shape is quite different to fins. Yeah, because the fins aren't sticking out to the side like this. They're folded away as far as these fins can fold. Because this has a waist swivel so that it goes up here, so that, yeah, that goes up like that. But this does not. This does not have a waist swivel, so they just compromise and they just gotta simple flip out like this, and as such, there's kinda fake thrusters, but you can't tell that. I'm not sure that's much of a significant difference. I mean, that's much of a major complaint when there are other things to complain about, but yeah, I mean, that really kind of changes it up a bit. Just having the inverse rear end. If you were to give a plain rocket booster, you think it would be more efficient to have them at the top or at the bottom? Yeah, no waist swivel. Mini Tachyon could afford a waist swivel, but not Mini Jet Thunder. I guess those joints went into the wings. And that simplification may have kind of messed with the head to torso center alignment. I mean, look at that bulge. Yeah, so obviously comparing the Mini Jet Thunder to the bigger Jet Thunder, there's gonna be much simplification, especially the fact that this is a painted plane. This is a very plain plane, plainer than this plane. Because there's not a speck of color going across this. Just only the front and the tiny bit on the side, and then on the sides of the engine pod, and not all around it. Not even covering these just super plain and barren front of the engines and not these little turbines. Yeah, nothing else. Yeah, really nothing else. Yeah, the other decals, they're molded in, but they're not painted out. Including this molded in toe key. That's also pretty plain when the other minis had them painted out at least. Also, is that a different style as the number 3? At least those engines have tail fins permanently molded in them. And a little further out than here, which makes it look more like natural fins and not just bits of swords sticking out there. That's something at least. And even though the tail fins had waffling, that was much more stylized than this really simplified lattice thing. And you know this little thing can't afford slider joints that more accurately slightly move them to the back? Yeah, but they're fixed right in the middle. Yeah, somewhere around here. So yeah, that's like a permanent glider-like position for a body type that's not meant to do that, I guess. You know what? I can overlook the inverse rear and the paintless plane. But it's really hard to overlook the whole top here, because that is super waffly. I mean, you know, if you're doing waffling, you won't want to put that away from sight, but it's just right on top of there, in front of a baby blue window. Baby blue half window with a slit in it because of his head fin. Yeah, just because it's just the best simplification they could do would just have this entire head hinge and then like that. But also in robot mode, just leaves a huge gaping hole in there. Like some tiny guy could right in front of his face. Yeah, I mean, because I guess he just really couldn't think of, you know, a spring-loaded double lever system. I don't know, I guess I would have just preferred a slider, even if it was a tiny little slider, and yeah, even this, only this head could move and not this cockpit, but yeah, that's the best they could do, and that's just the biggest offense for me for this tiny little thing, even though it's supposed to be a budget toy, but well, I don't know what appropriately scales with this tiny little Jet Thunder, because, you know, it's a plane. Plane Transformers never scale correctly. Yeah, but it's a small deluxe plane with a pretty wide wingspan. It's a pretty big surface thing for a little mini. Though, incidentally, it is very similar in size to the Jet Thunder component of Titan V. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the wingspan is almost similar, the length is almost similar, this is like a smidge, a few millimeters bigger than this one, but yeah, I guess they scale with each other. I guess this Jet Thunder scales with Titan V. The other components are a bit out of scale with each other, but yeah, so you could just imagine swapping out this with this. Okay, I may admit I may have been a little too hard on the big Jet Thunder for its not being a realistic vehicle than literally leaking lubricants. Is this rusting orange all over? But this is still pretty gray, and I guess its drab nature is just exacerbated by a very simplified version. And also it's maybe lackluster engineering. I mean, it's pretty fine, but you know, the lower area simplification just is a bit exacerbated and also literally stretched out. Planes are pretty common. There might be just little incentives to get this other than just completing the trio. 1, 2, 3. Or you could use the minis to represent the Tobot Space Guardians compact mode. If you're somehow okay with giant transformer robots shrinking down to being slightly taller than a human. Number 4.